Welcome to the Asia Briefing podcast series. Today, joining us in Hong Kong is Mr. Chris Devonshire-Ellis, the founder of Dezan, Shira and Associates. Today, Chris will be answering questions about the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and its effect on businesses throughout the region. Chris, what is ASEAN, and could you just give a brief introduction?
Okay, well, ASEAN stands for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It was formed in 1967, and it now comprises 10 countries as an economic trade bloc. What that means is that there's free trade on all goods between these countries, and they include Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. Collectively, they are a trade body. That includes a collective market of 600 million people and a combined GDP of about $1.8 trillion. In economic terms, if it was a country, ASEAN would be the 9th largest country in the world. It's situated between China and India, so it's strategically important, and it is effectively the third Asian dragon in terms of its development as an emerging economy.
What is the significance of ASEAN for American companies, and where are the opportunities?
ASEAN's growth, and I mentioned a market of 600 million people there, is expected to be about 6% per annum for the next few years, which makes it the second largest globally growing region after China. So it is significant. A market of 600 million people, that's getting on for double that of the United States. Growing at that rate represents significant opportunities for American companies to sell to that market. But more importantly, both China and India have free trade agreements. They have their own free trade agreements with ASEAN, which means that if your product comes under these FTA, you can manufacture in one of the ASEAN countries and then export to China and to the Indian markets duty-free. So these are significant opportunities in terms of doing away with trade barriers, which are now presenting themselves through American companies having a presence in ASEAN. In addition to that, we have the Regional Economic Comprehensive Partnership, RCEP agreement, which is scheduled to be completed in 2015. That has ASEAN at its centre, but also includes, again, China, India, but the the developed Asian economies of Australia, New Zealand, Japan and South Korea. So when that's signed off in 2015, which is when it's expected to be completed, then ASEAN will be at the centre of the world's largest free trade area.
Does America currently have any tax treaties in place with ASEAN nations?
Yeah, there has been an ASEAN-US agreements which are under negotiation, but nothing has been agreed between the United States and ASEAN directly at this moment. The US does have a free trade agreement with Singapore, very useful document, and it also has a double tax agreement, a DTA with Singapore. The US has also got bilateral double tax agreements with the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia. So when one looks at the US and its tax agreements with ASEAN, they've been done on a bilateral basis, and really those are the places to look for tax treatments, issues over double tax, the issues such as reducing withholding tax, the abilities for US nationals to work without incurring taxes higher than necessary, and other tax beneficial treatments that American companies can enjoy. These all need to be looked at with the respective DTA, and as I mentioned, these are currently in existence with Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia and Indonesia, with an additional US-Singapore agreement on free trade. So these are places to look for them, but at the moment there is not a US-ASEAN treaty in place directly with that body.
So where do you see ASEAN going forward in terms of American corporate strategy in Asia?
ASEAN is really the third pillar for American companies to be looking at in terms of selling product to Asia. So really, I think American companies, if they're looking at Asia, I think the strategy has got to be, let's have a specific look at China, let's have a specific look at India, and also let's have a specific look at the ASEAN region, with Singapore as a hub there, but significant American markets in countries such as the Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. The US already has double tax agreements with these nations, and the up-and-coming ASEAN economies such as Myanmar, a lot of interest in there, of course, but also Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. Also there, Vietnam has most favoured trading nation status of the United States. So there's a lot to go at within ASEAN for American companies, and it really is. ASEAN represents the third Asian pillar of foreign development investment for American companies in Asia per se, along with China and India. So strategically important. ASEAN is a very good play for American corporations to come to Asia.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Asia Briefing podcast series. For additional business resources, or if you would like to learn more about doing business in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, please visit our website at www.dezshira.com. We hope you can join us next time on the Asia Briefing podcast series.